Politics, culture, chaos. This is your daily dose of sanity. The Rich Zeoli podcast starts now.
No, men can't get pregnant. We know this. And yet, a doctor was asked about this, not once, not twice, 12 times by Senator Josh Hawley, and she wouldn't answer the question. For a reason, I'll tell you what that reason is. Let's do this.
Let's go.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm so sick of the left ideology on this whole transgender nonsense. I'm sick of it. I cannot believe we're still talking about it in America, quite frankly. 2026, you'd imagine that it would have gone away like that stupid 6-7 trend, but no, it's still here. It's still here. The fact that the United States Supreme Court this week had to deal with the question of whether or not biological men can play in women's sports in 2026, and we're still talking about this. The fact that yesterday, not one but two United States senators asked a so-called physician whether men can get pregnant, and she wouldn't answer the question. In fact, she accused them of like political attacks, as if they were politically attacking her by asking the question, can a man get pregnant? I cannot get pregnant. If you're a man watching this podcast, listening to this podcast, you cannot get pregnant. Women can get pregnant. That's why they're women. And I think it's so unfair to women who have to endure 9 months of having a baby inside them and then the pain of labor and everything else to then turn around and go, a man can do that too. You're nothing special. A guy could go through that. No problem. It is so disrespectful to women. It really is. Yet where are the women's groups? Where are they? Where are the women's groups? Where are the feminists out there saying, you know, it is so disrespectful to presume that a man can carry a baby when women have to go through what is 9 months of hormonal changes and then, of course, the pain of delivery. Now, there are drugs for that, but a lot of women don't want to take them because they don't want to impact the pregnancy. And well, I have 3 kids. 2 of our children came to us by way of adoption. We're very, very blessed that we have 2 amazing birth mothers who chose to bring those babies into the world and place them into our hands for adoption. We're very lucky. And then we had a bio baby surprise. And I know that my wife went through a lot with that pregnancy. Maybe you're a woman and you went through a lot with your pregnancy. So to hear Josh Hawley confront this doctor, and I don't mean confront in a hostile way. I mean, just he's asking questions, very simple questions. Can a man become pregnant? Yes or no? Yes or no? It is the easiest answer in the world. No. Next question. That's it. That's the easiest question ever asked in the history of questions. There have been a lot of hard questions posed. In my world, they usually involve mathematics. But in this case, it's the most basic, simple, understandable question. Then it deals with every mammal on Earth. Only women mammals can conceive a child. That's it, period. I'm not a biologist. I'm not a scientist. Frankly, I wasn't very good at science, but I know that much I know. And yet this doctor, she knows it too. But just like with the Supreme Court cases, they know that you know that they know, but they don't want to say it out loud. They don't want to say it. So why not? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Why not? I'm glad you're here. Please subscribe to this podcast. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the YouTube show if you're watching on YouTube. We're also streaming on X as we get this going. It's our inaugural week here on the Zeoli podcast, and I could not be prouder of the show we're putting out right now. So thank you for being part of it. Here's the reason. Money. Comes down to money. This whole gender dysphoria, transgender nonsense is a $500 billion a year industry. It's a lot of fazools. Where I come from, that's what we call it, fazools, and that's a lot of them. Why don't these doctors want to admit it? Why do these medical schools want to teach it? Because of the money that's involved with the mutilation, the drugs, the counseling, yada, yada, yada. It's all about the money. And they know we know, but they still want to pretend that this facade is a real thing because they want to collect the cash. Medical schools are where the problem is. I have a friend who's a CEO of a large hospital system who's told me this before. Medical schools are some of the most woke places on planet Earth. You've got doctors who are sitting there, future doctors, who are learning all these things, and they're being told, yeah, a dude could become pregnant. Why not? Maybe he can even carry twins. Maybe he could be an octo dad. You never know. You remember the Octomom, right? Octo Dad. Could you imagine that guy walking around with 8 kids in the belly? That would be one hell of a reality show. Except it wouldn't be, what's the word for it? Reality, right? Because it can't happen. So why is it that the senator has to ask this question so many times of this doctor? Why is it? And here's the cut, just in case you haven't heard it. It's been going around. It's pretty viral, but I'd love to bring it to context for the purposes of this show. So here we go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since you bring it up, why don't we just start there? Dr. Verma, I wasn't sure I understood your answer to Senator Moody a moment ago. Do you think that men can get pregnant?
I hesitated there because I wasn't sure where the conversation was going or what the goal was. I mean, I do take care of patients with different identities. I take care of many women. I take care of people with different identities. And so that's where I paused. I think, yeah, I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Well, the goal is just the truth. So can men get pregnant?
Again, the reason I paused there is I'm not really sure what the goal of the question is.
The goal is just to establish a biological reality. You just said a moment ago that science and evidence should control, not politics. Absolutely. So let's just test that proposition. Can men get pregnant?
I take care of people with many identities, but
can men get pregnant?
I take care of many women.
Let's just pause it there for a second. I'm a big fan of drinking games. I love them. If we were playing a drinking game right now, we would be legally dead. Our liver would just cease to function if we took a shot every time Josh Hawley asked the question, can men get pregnant? Now, maybe back in college, I could have done it by now, but we're like 3-4 shots in already, and we're only like a quarter of the way through this clip. So if you're doing a shot of JD or I don't know, whatever kind of shot you like to do, I personally don't do shots. I'm not a shot guy. I can't handle it. I don't have the tolerance for it. I like a nice sipping bourbon. I don't need to chug it. But if I were to chug it, or if we were shotgunning beers, if we were doing that, like, hey, let's, crack open a cold one, put the key in, and then remember those days back in college, or if you watched Animal House recently, you'd be dead. And so I would ask the doctor this question. Can a guy who's done 8 shots in this fun drinking game get behind a car? And I presume her answer would be, I deal with a lot of people. I don't know what the purpose of your question is. It's to establish a scientific fact. Can a guy who's drunk off his ass drive a car or not? The answer, of course, we know is not. And that is why this drinking game would kill you. I don't know how strong your liver is, but let's keep going. And if you want to play a drinking game at home, I cannot legally, actually, it's a podcast. I can pretty much do whatever I want. But since we also stream on the amazing, that's a beautiful thing. I could drop F-bombs if I want. But we air on our flagship station of Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and hopefully other stations around the country. And for the purposes of that, I have to comply with FCC requirements and say, I can't tell you to do a drinking game. Wink, wink. But if you want to, get the glasses ready, kids. Here we go.
Of people that don't identify as women. That
Can men get pregnant?
Again, as I'm saying.
Let me just remind you what you testified to a moment ago. Science and evidence should control, not politics. So can men get pregnant? You're a doctor, I think.
Science and evidence should guide medicine.
Do science and evidence tell us that men can get pregnant? Biological men, can they get pregnant?
Yes or no?
I also think yes-no questions like this are a political tool. And
no, yes-no questions are about the truth, doctor. Let's not make a mockery of this proceeding.
Stop. Pause it right there. I think there should be a C. I think there should be an other, or maybe a D, all the above. Okay, I'm not a fan of just the A or B and yes or no question. I believe there should be an essay question part of this, okay? Not just simply yes or no questions. How freaking insane is this? It's yes or no. Can men get pregnant or not? We all know the answer is no. She knows the answer is no. So why isn't she saying this? Because she's so wrapped up in this woke left craziness that America has moved on from, by the way. I mean, there was a time when America kind of played a little bit of footsie with this because we were trying to be polite, I guess, in some places, and maybe corporations had they had the lactation room, and it was implied that women only would go in there. But then they started putting signs up like, this is the all gender lactation room. Listen, you can't milk a guy's nipples. You just can't do it. I'm sorry, but you can't. I mean, I guess maybe you could, but the point is right. Yet here we are in this insanity. And I say to myself, do we go back in time to a place in America where we were playing footsie with this woke stuff? Because the pendulum has shifted. America is moved on. We've moved on from this, whether it is men playing in women's sports or it's this ridiculous notion that a dude can get knocked up. We have moved on, but they haven't. And this is what you need to know. They have not. And whether it is this issue or, say, another issue like the windmills, the gigantic wind turbines they want to build off the Jersey Shore, they're just waiting. They're lying in wait. I can't stress this enough to you. Because as funny as this is, and it is very funny to listen to this doctor, a physician, and it makes me think, I went to college for 7 years and didn't become a doctor, but maybe I just should have. Because clearly it's not that hard. You don't have to be that intelligent. But she's actually very smart. She knows exactly what she's doing here. And she's playing the game, the long-term game that the left is always playing. And that is, we'll wait. We'll wait this out. We'll wait till the pendulum swings back. We'll wait till we can start firing people again and calling them bigots again. And we can start with the nonsense of saying we got to have transgender bathrooms or no gender bathrooms or whatever it is. We'll just lie in wait. This is so often what the left does with every single issue. They try to trick us into believing that we've moved on, that it's over. You won this culture battle. The fact that we're having a cultural fight over whether or not a dude can get knocked up is so insane to me. But actually, when you think about it, it's not, because the left thrives on culture wars. That's what they do. It's how they operate. But when it's also attached to all this cash, when you're talking about large medical systems, schools, hospitals, doctors who have to pay this medical debt that they have, and if they can chop off a girl's boobies and make $500,000 doing it, well, they don't want to stop doing it. And that's the reality. That's the dark reality we have to address. I'm telling you, they're lying in wait, just waiting this out. Waiting until you get some woke Democrat president. Because if Gavin Newsom were in there right now, he would look, if Gavin Newsom thought it would help him to get pregnant, he would do it. He would do anything he could to become president. If he has to call himself Gavina Newsom, he'll do it. If he has to find a way to get he would have a baby like surgically implanted into him if he could, if that's what it took, whatever it takes for Gavin Newsom. But if he were president right now, he would 100% be out there saying that we have to respect that men can get pregnant. Now, maybe that's different from what he said 10 minutes ago, but that's Gavin Newsom. He keeps changing on how he feels on these things. It's what he does. They play games. I promise you this, the money, if you trace it from these medical schools and these doctors and these hospital systems, and now the Trump administration has said to them, stop, knock it off. You can't keep doing this. And if you do it, we're going to make sure you get no funding. So they go, all right, Harvard, the others, they go, all right, no problem. We'll wait you out. It's the same game that all these bureaucrats play in Washington too. It's like, oh, okay, you think you're going to come in here and tell us at the EPA that we're not going to go after people for, stormwater runoff in their own backyard? Yeah, that we're not going to pursue windmills and solar mines and solar fields. Okay, sure, you can tell us that. But I got news for you. We've been here longer than you, and we're going to be here longer than you. We're entrenched bureaucrats, and we're not going anywhere. So we'll play your little games. We'll wait you out. But what do we got? 3 years left on the clock till we get somebody who's friendly to us, a President AOC in here who will absolutely come out with some insane, like the men's lactation rights bill where a guy will get free money for his, nipple moisturizer cream or some disgusting thing that the left will think up to prove that men can get pregnant. But we know that they can't, and that's the thing. We all know this. We know this, and they're still playing this crazy game. There's more of this. I want to play more of this because I just can't get enough of this. And because we're having a fun drinking game here on the Zeoli podcast, which I need you to subscribe to, please. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got to hit 1,000 subscribers this week. It's what we have to do. So I need you to subscribe. Also need you to subscribe and like it and like the podcast as well. Let's keep going with this.
This is about science and evidence, and I'm asking you.
Right.
The United States Supreme Court just heard arguments yesterday at great length on this question. This is not a hypothetical question. This is not theoretical.
No.
It affects real people in their real lives. And you're here as an expert, called by the other side as an expert. And you've been telling us that you follow, right, you're a doctor, and you follow the science and the evidence. So I just want to know, based on the science, can men get pregnant? That's a yes or no question. It really is, I think.
I think you're trying to reduce the complexity of a lot.
I'm not. I'm trying to get, it's not complex. I'm trying to get to an answer, and I'm trying to test, frankly, your veracity as a medical professional and as a scientist. Can men get pregnant?
I think you're also conflating
This is
male
extraordinary.
female.
No, I'm not conflating male and female. They're two different things. There's biological men and there's biological women. And I want to know, can men get pregnant?
What you were talking about is biological.
You're not going to answer my question, it sounds like.
Biological males.
This isn't hard, doctor.
All right, so I have
men
another theory
get-
about this, right? So the other theory is this. She doesn't know what the word biological means, and she's faking it. She somehow got a medical degree without ever learning what the word biological means, because like you're in a situation with somebody, you're having a conversation, and they throw some big word at you, and you don't want to ask them what that word means. So you're like, oh, yeah, I think, right. And it would just be so much easier if you just say, oh, I'm not familiar with that word. Can you just tell me what that word means? But instead, you don't want to look stupid, so you just try to fake it. It's possible in all her years of medical school, she just never learned what the word biological meant. Like she skipped that day in med school and somehow still got through it. And so when Josh Hawley's asking the question, she's like, I think you're conflating because, and really what she's just trying to do is just have nobody call her around and be like, hey, doc, define biological for us. Could you just do that, please? Can you say what that word means? You know what a man is, you know what a woman is. You say biological for us, okay? And then can you spell it? Like some sort of weird spelling bee. This is the Power Hour brought to you by our buddy, Dr. Mike Veneria, Veneria Dental. Go see him today for your perfect smile. He sent me a great note last night. He said, your shows so far this week have been killer. He's a great guy and a great friend. Make your appointment today for a free implant consultation at veneriadental.com. Do not kid yourselves. The left is lying in wait. These people are sick. They really are. They're sick. You know why they're sick? Because they'll profit off of mutilating kids. They'll profit off of giving kids drugs that are not approved by the FDA for the purposes of stopping puberty or any of the other things, the hormones and all of it. They'll do these things. And when the jig is finally up, I mean, when it's really over and that money is cut off, and that means that some doctor who is a plastic surgeon who deals with this horrific stuff can't get a second beach home, can't maybe fly a private jet to his island or whatever it is. And they're going to fight like hell to make sure that that day never comes. And when Dr. Verma is sitting there and she will not answer the question 12 times, I know this because we counted 12 times. She won't answer the question because she has an obligation to them. She has an obligation to all her fellow ghoul doctors who profit off of this. And you might be thinking to yourself, Rich, but don't they ideologically believe this? No, they don't. They really don't. That's the thing. They don't. It's like so much of the left, too. It's all a game. There was a time when they believed that, for example, ICE agents should be out there arresting criminal illegal aliens. Barack Obama said it. Bill Clinton said it. Barack Obama's Department of Homeland Security was raiding people's homes, and his press secretary was asked about it. They don't believe any of this garbage when they're calling ICE agents Nazis. And I mean, yes, some of these social media people do, and they're crazy people. But I mean, educated people in Congress and doctors and the other people, do they really believe this crap that a man could get pregnant, that a man could get knocked up, that a man could have a bun in the oven? No, they don't. But it's never, ever about what the thing really is. They want you to think that. They'd love for you to have a debate about the merits of this because they're counting on some people to be sensitive to this. And that's where the left does a great trick. You know what that trick is? It's convincing you that you're a mean person. Like you don't understand what it's like for a man. to have to go through 9 months of intense pregnancy when all his buddies are like, Jim, when are you due? I mean, come on, buddy. You can barely move these days. Pass the nachos. They want you to think it's compassionate to go along with this nonsense. And that makes you a good person. Right. You're a good person if you're compassionate to guys who are pregnant, even though there's no such thing. And so they'll engage this so that you won't just call them out on what is their utter bullshit. Oh, we got to bleep that when it airs on WPHT. But that's what it is. It's bullshit. And you know it, and I know it, and they know it too. But they don't want you to call them out on it. Like, how great and freeing would it be if you could just walk by to these people and say, you know what, Doc? Like, if Senator Hawley yesterday, who's thinking what we're all thinking, and sit there and say, you know what, Doc, I'm calling bullshit on this. You know exactly that a man can't get pregnant. Enough of this crap. But he doesn't want to say that because he's a gentleman. So he says it in a much more refined way. And I'm not going to say it again because 3 bleeps is the most we can handle, I believe, under FCC law. So that's all I can say. But the money is the issue for all of this. It's the same thing with the environmental stuff. The money that's attached to the solar panels and the windmills, it's all there. It's the exact same thing when it comes to this whole nonsense about ICE, too. They don't really believe ICE agents are Nazis, and they don't really believe that they're the Gestapo. Why do they say it? Money, donations, that's why. These politicians put out these fundraising letters. And then they get people who are true believers get in this stuff, people like George Soros and others, to write them big checks. So they go out there and say it. And then they also say it on podcasts because they get clicks. Speaking of clicks, click this right now. Do it, please. Click it and subscribe, all right? But no, I'm serious about that. Do these people really mean it? No. Let's play, for example, a great idea for you, a great thing to, I think, push this point. This is, let's see if I have this one here, Jared. Looking for that. Jennifer Welch. There we go. Jennifer Welch, Minneapolis. So again, this is a podcast. This is clicks. This is clickbait. This show is not going to do clickbait. This show is going to have an honest conversation with you, and we're going to engage in the truth, and we're going to say the real stuff, and we're not going to BS you. That's how we're going to roll. And I'm not going to come out and say crazy things for the sake of saying crazy things just so that I can hope to get clicks. That's not how I operate. And I never will. I never have, and I never will. And I've been successful without having to come out here and BS you and say nonsense. And I'm not going to ever do that. But there are a lot of people out there who do on both sides. It's not just the left, but unfortunately, sadly, there are some that do it in the podcast universe on my side. I just think we've all had enough of their trickery. And we just want truth, and we want actual substance, and we want reality. That's what I believe. But this is not what Jennifer Welch believes. Jennifer Welch believes clicks are the answer, and just throwing out nonsense, cut 4.
And the scenes coming out of Minneapolis, all of this is created by the Trump regime. None of it has anything to do with immigrants. None of it has anything to do with crime or safety. All of this is increasing crime by ICE agents committing crimes and making the entire city less safe. All of it is cloaked in racism and white supremacy and terrorizing people. And this is absolutely no different than Hitler's Gestapo.
Than Hitler's Gestapo. This is what they're calling American citizens who put on a badge and go out to enforce the laws, bipartisan laws passed by Congress. These people are so full of it. They don't really believe this, because if they believed it, they would have spoke up when Obama was doing it, and they didn't. All right, listen, I'm glad you're here. I really am. I love that you're here, actually. We're streaming live on YouTube. We're streaming on X at Rich Zeoli. And please like it. Please subscribe. And please go see my friends at Bob's Little Sports Shop. I love the Second Amendment. I love the fact that I'm protected. I went to Bob's Little Sports Shop, and I got a beautiful Smith & Wesson 9mm. And I got a Winchester 12 gauge, baby. You hear that sound? You try to break into my home, and you're running out the door. Bob's is all about safety, and they're going to guide you through the entire process to make sure that you get your permit and that you know what you're doing, and you know how to use that firearm so that you can protect yourself and your family. And Bob's helped me. I tried several different guns at the range. I got kill shots on every time because I'm that good. Jared, you should have seen me. I was like James Bond out there. I was like, you know what I mean? And a couple people said, oh, they were like critiquing me, like, Zeoli, your wrist, the way you were holding it. And then I gave him the Trump salute. I was like, yeah, how's that for my wrist? You like that? The Bob's instructors will help you make sure your form, your game is right. And they got the best selection of stuff. They even have coffee. They got merch. So go see them. They are on Delsea Drive in Glassboro, New Jersey. And they love us. And they love what we do. And you'll see a giant poster of President Trump right after Butler with his fist in the air. Fight, fight, fight. That's the kind of people we're talking about. Bob'sLittleSportShop.com. Bob'sLittleSportShop.com. This ad sponsored by Bob's Little Sport Shop. Jared, it's been a good week so far. I know we got another Friday show coming up tomorrow, but Monday we had an audio glitch, and that was completely my fault. And it's rare that I take responsibility or accountability for everything, but I own this.
I don't even know what you're talking about, Rich. I thought it was a flawless, tech-free, totally perfect broadcast.
And I like the one guy who's like, I can't believe you had an audio issue on day one. I'll never listen again.
I can't. Yes. Also, the people that threaten to never listen again, it is the most empty of threats. It's the same way you curse at the airline. You're like, I will never fly this airline again unless you were the cheapest option on Expedia.com.
It's like, F you, Spirit. I'm done with you people. Oh, round trip to Florida for $59?
Red eye for $50?
I didn't, yeah.
Done.
I mean, you know, but we're
I'm
not
a
gonna
monster. What am I gonna? Yeah.
I'll give you one more chance, okay?
Yes.
But as bad as that audio glitch was at the very beginning of the first inaugural podcast, because I had another speaker open and I was watching the YouTube
Somebody wanted
show.
to watch their own stream while they were performing.
I wanted to. It was not nearly as bad as Tim Walz's live stream, huh?
No, not at all. I'm pretty proud that this isn't what happened.
Well, let's take a listen,
tonight,
shall
let me
we?
say once again to Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, and I know it's end this occupation. We all have to be defending You've done enough.
Wait, stop. Jared, hang on. We got to rewind it. I need to do a disclaimer here.
This is not us messing up.
I feel like
Absolutely. Here's the other thing that for audio listeners, this is one channel is his actual audio, and then the right ear is I have no idea what's feeding it. So it's this like left-right ear. So if you just had like one earbud in, you wouldn't even hear anything. But yeah, it is absolute madness.
It's not us.
It's not.
This is not an audio glitch on the
also,
Zeoli
ours
podcast.
Is nowhere near this. This guy's the governor of a state. Like this is a huge.
Presumably he has a whole department of people working in the state, in the governor's
highly
office,
paid,
to handle this.
Really well.
Yeah.
I'm certain. Yes, absolutely.
You know that in one of my first
to Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, and I know it's end this occupation. We all have to be defending You've done enough. Justice and humanity. Let me say four critical things to the people of Minnesota. Four things I want you to hear as you watch the news.
If you could tell, he can't hear it.
First, Donald Trump wants this chaos. You've done enough. He wants confusion. Let me say, yes, he wants more violence on our streets. Four things I want you to hear. We cannot give him what he wants.
It sounds like when Superman is listening to Jor-El after he's dead, like tell him things as he's coming in the ship to Earth.
Rich.
You know what I mean? And it's like
you.
Yeah. You are forbidden to interfere in the course of human history. It is forbidden for you.
Awful.
Oh man, he's such a doofus. He really is. He's such a doofus, and it's just I sometimes wonder though if he does this on purpose. So he's like, hey, it'll be another day of them not talking about the $18 billion in fraud that happened in my state. They'll talk about my audio glitch. Maybe he's just that deceptive. It's certainly possible. But from the broadcast, after you get past the audio glitch, here's Tim Walz talking about ICE agents going door to door. And of course, we have to have the daily reference of the Nazis and the Gestapo. And this horrific accusation, like imagine if this was actually a thing. Imagine right now if this was a thing, Zeoli Army, where somebody knocked on your door and asked you the following question. Take a listen.
The federal government is raining down upon our communities. 2,000 to 3,000 armed agents of the federal government have been deployed to Minnesota. Armed, masked, undertrained ICE agents are going door to door, ordering people to point out where their neighbors of color live.
Could you imagine that? I mean, that is just such a sick allegation. Knocking on somebody's door and then going, show me where the people of color live in your neighborhood. Could you imagine that? And first of all, if that were actually happening, and it's definitely not happening, if it were happening, there'd be so many videos of that happening, like somebody knocking on the door. I mean, we all know the famous line from Blazing Saddles, where are the white women at? But could you imagine if the ICE agents were knocking on the door and being like, where are the brown people at? Huh? Show me. Point them out. Point to the house across the street. Them? Are they white? What about the people next door? White? What about that guy? Oh, I saw the hesitation. All right, that's where we're going, boys. That would be the most viral video. It'd be all we were seeing. And yet we're not. How come? Because it's not happening. But it's such a sick accusation by Walz to imply that that's what ICE agents are doing, knocking on people's doors and saying, show me people of color. And they're doing this for a reason, of course. They're trying to invoke the 1960s. So they invoke the Nazis and the Gestapo. But like at this point now, you've heard that so many times. You're like, oh, another Nazi reference. It's like, okay. But they want to then maybe bring up the 1950s, the 60s, the civil rights era, like, some racist Southern Democrat governor telling his police to go out there and find the black people. It's like that. It's a lie. And then by doing so, they can further this lie and this narrative that these ICE agents are nothing more than just like what Jasmine Crockett has called them before, the modern day slave patrols. And it's so disparaging to law enforcement, many of whom happen to be, by the way, people of color. See, I don't look at people like that, and you don't look at people like that because you're not an insane person. You look at people as people. You look at a person as a person. The left looks at them like a gigantic box of crayons. You remember that when we were kids, and maybe you have kids now, and I don't know if they still have them. I try to keep crayons away from my 5-year-old because she eats them. But they have the Crayola 64 giant crayon box. They might even have a big crayon box. Oh, that's Emmons Roofing and Siding at my door. They're working on the bathroom renovation today for the kids. But the crayon box with all the colors that they have, that's how the left views people. You're not a person. You're a crayon that goes in a box, and that's what you are, and that's all you are. Speaking of Emmons Roofing and Siding, and they are here at my house today, the bathroom demolition, the kids' bathroom is almost complete, and I'm very grateful to Emmons for the great work that they're doing. Once the demo's finished, they're going to start the installation of the new beautiful fixtures, and they pick it all out. They help you pick it out and design your dream bathroom, your dream kitchen, and the roof of your home. It matters as we're getting into the deep, cold months here of January, February, and then soon March. Make sure that roof is good. Get a free roof inspection from my friends at emmonsroofing.com, EMMONS. Great people, Matt Kelly, the owner, and the great people that are there that work there. They serve Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, and the Jersey Shore. And here's the best part. All their products made in America. You have the Owens Corning shingle made in Kearney, New Jersey. You got the Anderson windows, which are made right in our area. Certainty siding made right outside of Philadelphia. And they have the doors and windows made by the Amish in Ohio as well. So American-made products by a great local company that you can trust. And I've used them for over 12 years in 2 different homes. I don't own 2 homes, but I had an old home that we sold, and Emmons did the roof and the windows there and the doors. And now we have this new home, and they're working on the bathroom renovation for us. And I know they're going to do a great job, and we'll do a great job for you. Tell them I sent you, emmonsroofing.com. All right, as we continue on the podcast, please subscribe, okay? We have to talk to you about a Staten Island fight, moms fighting, love this, and an anti-ICE protester as well as we continue. But Jared, you and I have known each other a long time. Evil Jared, the executive producer of the Zeoli podcast. You were my boss. You were a mentor. You were a friend, a drinking buddy. You've had many different hats. Did you know that at one point I had a cover band in college? It was a Van Halen cover band.
Was it Van Halen? I remember
Yes.
you mentioning a cover band.
Yeah. And did you know that the name of our band was Pedophile Protector? Did you know that?
It's a good name. It's aged well.
I had no idea at some point how relevant that would become, but I'm thinking about scraping the dust off the old cassette tapes, the demo tapes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I honestly, I've heard you talk about your cover band, and I have yet to hear it. If I'm being quite honest, Rich.
We'd be at the VU at College Park. We'd be like, "We are pedophile protector," and people would be like, "Wait, what the hell are you? What is that?
What a
You're a
hit!
what protector?"
I'm sure it looked great on a flyer.
Well, that is what the left is now suggesting, that people scream at Donald Trump. James Carville, who at one point was considered one of the smartest political strategists in America and has now completely lost his friggin' mind, he has this suggestion for everybody whenever they see Donald Trump: cut 3.
Look, whatever it is, Trump had a massive negative reaction to it. And when you find a sore spot, you keep hitting it. Keep hitting it. Hit that sore tooth hard all over the country. Greg just called him the pedophile protector.
And this is
Call him the pedophile protector. That's all you call him, the pedophile protector.
Greg just called him the pedophile protector.
and
This is the dumbest time to be alive, isn't it? It really is. It's just such a dumb time to be alive. And this is his political. This is a man who got a president elected. Think about this now. And of course, what he's referring to is he's referring to the fact that Donald Trump flicked off that protester, gave him the Jersey salute at the Ford factory because the guy was yelling. I don't even know if Donald Trump heard what the guy was saying or just saw his facial reactions or whatever it was. But Carville has now taken the idea that somehow rubbed Trump in such a degree that everybody should be out there saying this. And he's not the only one. We're not going to play it for you because I don't want to torture you. But Stephen Colbert said the same thing. Go out there and everybody should just yell pedophile protector at Donald Trump because of Jeffrey Epstein. Now, it's important to realize that the left thinks now they've got something here with Jeffrey Epstein and the files. And I want all the Epstein files to be released. I've been consistent about that. And I do believe they're going to be released. I think they are in the process of doing that. But where was this concern all the years that they had control of the Department of Justice? And this is kind of the theme of today's show, which is the left doesn't mean any of the BS that they're spewing at you all the time. Whether it's whether or not a dude can get knocked up, they just don't believe it. It's the same thing with the Epstein stuff. They don't really believe Trump is protecting pedophiles. It's just now they feel like they can use it as a line of attack. If they ever thought there was anything in those files that could have gone after Donald Trump, then they would have used them. They prosecuted the guy for saying that the value of Mar-a-Lago was only $25.99 plus shipping and handling when he listed it at what the actual value of Mar-a-Lago is. Like, you know, they turn around in New York and they're like, actually, the value of Mar-a-Lago is cheaper than if you were to get this wonderful set of stainless steel pots, and Act Now will throw in pot handles and warmers, and it's so dumb. They certainly would have went after him about Jeffrey Epstein if there was anything there, but they don't really mean it. They're all saying these things because it's BS. It's just like the same thing with ICE. They don't really mean it. They do this because they want the clicks and they want the attention. And it's why people are losing their patience with all of this. It really is. As we continue here on the podcast, and it's great to have you with us today. Please subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and like it too, and tell your friends, and help us out because we would really, really appreciate it. The president has said the attack on Iran is called off for the moment. That could change at literally any moment. But he has said that now that the killing has stopped, Donald Trump has said, as long as you're not executing these protesters, then we will not do anything. We will not invade. We will not bomb. We will not do that. And so as of right now, at least, Iran seems to have been backing off, which is good. They should back off because we asked the question yesterday on the YouTube chat, do you think we should do anything on Iran? And for the most part, people said, no, let them deal with this themselves. Let Iran handle this. And I agree with that. I think it's the case. But why is Iran in this situation right now? You might be surprised to learn that it actually has to do with a bank collapse that sent Iran into a tailspin. Wall Street Journal had this story. Bad loans to the cronies of the regime, the mullahs, brought down the Ayn Bank, which accelerated a long-running financial crisis in Iran. And as this crisis is happening right now, leading to the weakening of the leadership, leading to people rising up in the streets and protesting, this central bank in Iran, which was run by cronies and saddled with nearly $5 billion in losses, bad loans all across the board, and went bust. And the government of Iran folded the carcass into a state bank and printed a massive amount of money to try to paper over all the red ink that buried the problem but didn't solve it. Instead, the failure became both a symbol of an accelerant of an economic unraveling that ultimately triggered the protests that now pose the most significant threat to the regime since the founding of the Islamic Republic half a century ago. The bank's collapse made clear that the Iranian financial system, under strain from years of sanctions, bad lending, and reliance on inflationary printed money, had become increasingly insolvent and illiquid. 5 other banks are thought to be similarly weak. And the crisis hit at the worst possible time. The Iranian government's credibility had already been battered by a 12-day war with Israel and the U.S. in June that show it couldn't defend its population from attack. And then, of course, when the president launched those bombers and they wiped out their nuclear program, suddenly now the people turned around and said, wait a minute. Our country's broke, and the country can't protect itself from the great Satan, the United States of America. Maybe this whole thing is a fugazi. And then when the people start to realize that, and they're like, what if we challenge the empire? What if we challenge the evil empire? Remember, most rebellions happen when the people that want to rebel call BS on the people who are in charge. When they say, all right, you're not really in charge. This is all a house of cards here. Like, I mean, take our own revolution, for example. If it wasn't for the fact that King George and Parliament decided, all right, well, we're going to take away all the guns and we're going to tax your tea, maybe everything would have been fine. When they try to disarm the population of the colonists were like, why are they trying to take our guns away? Wait, are they afraid of us? And then they put in the tax on tea and they were like, wait a second, I thought the British crown was so powerful and had all this money, and maybe they don't. That's when the seed of liberty went from being just a thought to being something put into action. And the colonists said, maybe we can win. Maybe we can actually do this and have our own independence and we can have liberty. It's kind of the same thing in Iran if you're watching right now. It's like, wait a minute. You're supposed to be so powerful as a country, and yet America was able to wipe out your nuclear program, which you told us that any day now we were going to have nuclear missiles and be a nuclear power, and now that's over. Then you told us that we were such a rich country because of all this oil, but it turns out that we're not, and we have a beleaguered financial system. Maybe you guys are all a bunch of snake oil salesmen. Maybe we can actually win. And then they took to the streets. When they took to the streets, what did the Iranian government do? Well, the Iranian government turned around and started slaughtering the people who were protesting and turning off their internet. Elon Musk comes in and says, we'll turn on Starlink for everybody so you can communicate, so the rebels can communicate. And what the Iranian regime did not count on is President Trump coming out and saying, if the killings don't stop of the protesters, I'm going to do something about it. And this time around, Iran, now that the world has seen that when you call their bluff, there isn't anything there. So they issued what is, in my opinion, a horrific death threat against President Donald Trump. I mean, all death threats against a president are horrific, but they issued a horrific death threat when they said, if you do anything, it's going to be like Butler all over again, only this time we don't mix or we won't miss or something like that. Absolutely unhinged and absolutely evil. But all it's going to do is inspire President Trump even more to double down on his support for those who are protesting against the government. Like, for example, this bank, its largest investment was the Iran Mall, which opened in 2018. First of all, Jared, I would have said to them, why are you opening a mall in 2018 when malls were such a thing in the 1980s in the United States? I mean, I know they're a little behind the times, but come on.
No, Stranger Things just got there. It was probably huge for them. The mall culture came right back.
It had it's like, you know, that place up in what is it? East Rutherford, New Jersey, the American Dream Mall, or the Great Mall in Minnesota, the one that has like the underground circus and amusement park and everything. Yeah. The Iran Mall, twice the size of the Pentagon. It's a city within a city with its own IMAX movie theater, a library, swimming pools, and sports complexes, along with indoor gardens, a car showroom, and a hall of mirrors modeled on a 16th century imperial Persian palace. Doesn't it sound beautiful?
I mean,
it also has a Gap, by the way, and a Gap and an Auntie Annie's pretzel.
So it's good, right? Yeah.
Yeah. You wonder if the Orange Julius, like you imagine that, you're like, oh, look at this beautiful Persian. Oh, Orange Julius? Are you freaking kidding me?
I mean, I'd always wanted to go, not to the bazaar. I didn't want to visit Iran and go to the bazaar. I hope to go to Iran and just see like a Jersey mall. I got it.
Like a bunch of kids hanging out in the food court, and there's that lady handing out the free teriyaki samples.
Oh,
because that's in every food court
that smell real good. Like, I'm sure those are great.
Oh, yeah, they're like candied pecans or something, or candied almonds or something like that.
I can't afford them, but
no, I mean, but obviously nobody in Iran can either. Economists said the growing financial crisis came to a head at the same time that a perfect storm of pressure, tightening international sanctions, the fallout of last year's war with Israel, and years of economic mismanagement was sapping the government's ability to address it. Worsening U.S. and European sanctions forced Iran's oil industry to rely on an international shadow fleet of tankers to export its products, meaning that more oil revenues flows into the hands of middlemen and less into the state's coffers in the wider Iranian economy. But then the U.S. cracked down on money laundering by Iraqi banks, depriving Iran of one of its most important sources of dollars. They were known as the lungs of the Iranian financial system. And when the June war happened with Israel and Iran got its you know what handed to them, all of a sudden the Iranian people turned around and said, wow, hey, what's going on? And then they started dumping the Iranian currency and moving their money into foreign currency and gold and crypto as well. The estimated Iran's total capital flight last year between 10 billion and 20 billion, creating what they called a bad situation that is not tenable. And then an energy crisis, starting from a shortage of natural gas, caused long power outages, which probably also affected the mall. Because, I mean, if you're at the mall and then suddenly you're sitting there in the Iranian mall and you're like, hey, I'm here for the IMAX, and then the lights go out and you're like, wait a minute. Aren't we supposed to be a country rich with oil and gas and all this money? And why are the lights going out? It shows the people, wait a minute, maybe everything they're telling us is a lie. And then the protests got underway, and they escalated for 2 weeks. Thousands were protests. They killed some people. But now the protests kept going and going and going. And quote, if they could spend their way out of this, they would have done that before, and they would not have had to resort to this kind of violence. That really makes things more difficult for the regime. Whatever happens with the protests, the stress on the regime from deep-seated internal financial problems, along with heavy pressure from outside, isn't going away. Eric Meyerson, the chief emerging market strategist at the Swedish bank SEB, said it's difficult for the regime, and I think he's being nice when he uses that language. And man, could I go for an Aunt Annie's pretzel and an Orange Julius right now. As we continue on the show, please subscribe to the podcast. If you do that for me, I would appreciate it. We would appreciate it very, very much. And my kids would appreciate it because they have to eat. Patrick, Claire, and Reagan, we got to be able to feed them. And, you know, that only helps if you like and subscribe to the podcast. So, speaking of moms, Jared, I was on America's Newsroom this morning, which is why I'm wearing a tie. I was on there with, of course, Dana Perino and Bill Hemmer, the Dream Team, and my buddy Jimmy Fallon, who's coming up on his 2-year anniversary of Fox News Saturday Night with Jimmy Fallon, a show that I used to go on. A lot, but not this weekend, but maybe soon, maybe, I don't know. Don't write him a letter or anything. Don't send him an email. Don't tell him that I was saying this. We'll just keep it between us.
Us and the internet.
I kind of feel like that. It's like that girl who didn't call me back, and I'm like, but I mean, I don't like her anyway. It's like, you know, screw her. You know, the girl I used to hang out with at the mall. But Jared, while we were on there, we talked about some moms behaving badly about at various sporting contests.
So this, you should know that this clip doesn't actually have audio. So you're going to end up narrating it. I just wanted you to know that.
Well, do you have any YouTube comments for us while we're here?
It's actually a lot of people talking to each other. I haven't seen anything
I
come
love
across
that.
that was worth weighing into.
I haven't really asked any questions, I guess, but
no speculation as to what happens to WPHT if you leave. Without doing the 3 to 6 part of your shift.
Ah, yes. Well, people like to come on here. The Zeoli Army likes to have their community, and we're happy about that. We like that. That's fun. Let them have their little fun, and I mean, it really shows how much they're paying attention to the show when they're sitting there side chatting about things, right?
Absolutely.
So why don't you narrate for us, Jared, if you would, what goes on in this clip of these moms behaving badly?
I knew you were going to do that. This is from
Come
Fox.
on.
All right, so I'm going to call him red sweatshirt, gray sweatshirt, but I think if I could, I hope this doesn't come off as sexist. Maybe it's because I'm bald. The hair grab is the first move in almost every woman on woman altercation, right? And so immediately the somebody grabs the other person's hair, and then you can see the whole crowd swoops in. And I mean, are there, Rich? Let's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 people, including one referee, trying to break this thing up, and it is not going anywhere. That woman,
these moms are,
gray sweatshirt had a handful of red sweatshirt's hair, and she refused to let it go.
Man,
I know it's a full on. I mean, it's the least Staten Island thing I've seen all day, if I'm being real. But it's a beautiful piece of security cam footage. So thank you to Staten Island Live for this gem for us.
First of all, thank you for letting us know that there's such a thing called Staten Island Live, because to be honest with you, I never heard of that before in my life. So that's good to know. Staten Island Live. This is a problem, though, with athletics. And this was something we talked about in the show today. We played earlier in the week the kids who were fighting at the Hershey Bears ice skating game. But I think the real problem, a lot of this stuff is parents. I mean, this is a basketball game. The parents start fighting. Kids watch these parents behaving badly, and then they emulate that. But I mean, just from being a dad with an 11-year-old son who plays sports, I go to these things, and you see parents mouthing off at coaches all the times. We were sitting there at one of Patrick's soccer games, and these grandparents were sitting there mouthing off to the referee. And here's this college girl, and she's, doing home for the summer, and she's picking up a little extra bucks here and there, reffing these games. And she blows her whistle at these parents and these grandparents and says to them, cut it out, or I'm going to kick you out of here. Now, I don't know how you kick people out of a field like that, but I mean, I guess you can call the cops, but that honestly is a real thing, is the way these parents behave at these various things. So watching this fight and watching the hair pulling, and I guess if you ever fight with a woman, she's definitely going for the hair. She's going to pull the hair, and that's how it's going to go. That's why I don't fight with women, for that reason, because I got,
I can't.
That's why you're invincible, Jared.
Exactly right. Yeah.
For those that are listening right now, Evil Jared is follically challenged, is the politically correct way to say it, right?
It didn't. It just happened. I don't know what happened, man. I wish it could come back. I don't think it's gonna.
Now, Jared, you at one point were a guy who lived in San Francisco, California, a city that it was at one point a great city until Gavin Newsom ruined it, right?
I actually was only ever there when Gavin and then the next mayor. So I guess my dad lived there, and as a kid, it seemed like a great city. But there's a lot of there was some poop on the ground. I don't think it was a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Got to see it.
Gavin Newsom in California is now threatening to destroy 3,000 old growth oak trees in the name of green energy to cut down 3,493 mature/old growth oak trees in woodlands, grasslands, and vernal pools to make way for 3,000 acres of solar panels. Doesn't that seem like a defeating purpose for environmental justice if you're going to be killing 3,400 trees to build solar panels?
I would not like to speculate as to what Gavin's thing is, but I do think that he is aggressively trying to take the abundance agenda as one of his core things, and I think this would be part of that.
Right. So he can turn around and he can tell everybody, look at my beautiful solar fields that I built.
Look, they say we can't build stuff in California. Look at that solar field.
Look at that. Look at that. Look at those beautiful. Look at that, huh?
I got you.
Unbelievable. I got you. Well, we'll talk more about that on Friday's show, but I wanted to share that with you. Before I get out of here, I want to let you know I watched the White House press briefing today with Caroline Leavitt. She did a great job, as always. The key takeaway, of course, is that, look, the president has said, if I have to use the Insurrection Act, I will, to quell the violence that's going on in Minnesota. But these people need to respect law enforcement, respect ICE. They're doing a job. These are hardworking American citizens who signed up to do that job, and they should be respected doing that job. And she called on the rhetoric of people like Tim Walz, enough is enough, tone it down. Jacob Frey, the worst mayor in the country besides Zoran Mamdani, tone it down. Be responsible. Stop with the rhetoric. Stop calling them Nazis. Stop calling them the Gestapo. Enough is enough. And by the way, speaking of Mamdani, today in the front page of the New York Post, the bromance is over, as Mamdani has decided now New York City is going to be a sanctuary city and not cooperate with ICE. Where does that leave Philadelphia? Well, a Bucks County sheriff came out yesterday and said he will not be cooperating with ICE. The district attorney of Philadelphia, Larry Krasner, says he will not be cooperating with ICE. So what does that mean for the city? Will they lose their funding? Will all these cities lose their funding? We'll explore that in more detail on tomorrow's show. Please hit that subscribe button and tell your friends about the Rich Zeoli podcast. Until next time, thank you so much for listening, for subscribing, for liking the show, and for being part of the Zeoli Army. Thank you.
Let's go.